Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, Gautama, we pay homage. Jule, Namaste, and a very warm greeting to everyone present here, esteemed Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, distinguished Sh.Tenpa Tsering, members from CIBS, guests, and everyone present here today. On behalf of Flying Dharma, I, Jigme Dolkar, and my friend Stanjin Tsiang warmly welcome you all to this special evening on challenging emotions and the kindness of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Today is very special for all of us because Flying Dharma and International Institute of Culture and Ethics are bringing together something we've been working on for years. We are not only here for a meaningful session, but also to celebrate the launch of very three special books that our team has worked on with so much time, effort, and love. And honestly, after working on them for so long, what else could be a better moment than this in the presence of Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, Sh.Tenpa Tsering, guests, and of course, all of you who have shown up here. So, on behalf of Flying Dharma, we once again welcome you all to this very special book launch and on this very special gathering, and especially on a very special discourse. So, may we have a big round of applause to all of you who have showed up for this special gathering. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to share that Flying Dharma has recently successfully conducted the Shantideva Retreat 2.0 in two batches. So basically, it has happened Shantideva Retreat 3.0. And the response has been much more than we expected, to be honest. I mean, when we begin, our team members would be knowing that we have been planning only for a limited 50 to 60 number of students. Can you imagine? But in just less than 24 hours, we received more than 250 registrations for the retreat. So, yes, thank you so much. So we decided to conduct in two batches so that more and more students could be benefited from this. And at Tikse Sherab's Tsering Library and Learning Center, under the guidance of Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, finally, it has been concluded with a proper and a meaningful session. And of course, I wanted to thank Venerable Geshe Lhakdor on behalf of all the retreat participants that it was not at all easy. And in a short span of time, he accepted our request, not only for the batch 1, but also for the batch 2. Although he has a very tight and hectic schedule, but Geshe-la has spared his precious time to be among us here, not only for the retreat, but for this evening session also. So may we have a big round of applause to Geshe-la.
And there is one moment that makes this entire journey even more special and emotional for all of us. His Eminence Yangtze Rinpoche La had the honor to brief His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama about the successful completion of both the batches of our residential Shantideva retreat at Tikse Sherabling Library and Learning Center with 90% scholarship support for the participating students. For all of us, the Flying Dharma, this is truly a very wholesome and proud moment. What started with a simple intention to create a meaningful space for young students to learn, reflect, and grow. For the entire team, after all the effort, challenges, and sleepless days behind this retreat, knowing that His Holiness has been briefed about what we have created here means more than we have expressed us. We feel deeply grateful, humble, and encouraged, and for all of us, it is reminded to continue this journey with even greater sincerity and dedication.
Of course, I agree with you, Sanzile. We will try our best and to encourage our new members also to continue participating in such retreats so that more and more students and your family members and dear ones can be benefited from this. So, for those who may be joining for us for the first time, Flying Dharma, I would like to share a bit about Flying Dharma. I won't take much time. It is a youth-led initiative rooted in simple belief that young people deserve spaces where we can learn, question, reflect, and grow, not only from external, but internally also, and not only academically, but also as a human being based on universal ethics. Our goal is to promote the practice of study and reflection in the areas of convergence and divergence in the modern science and philosophical stances, and also to preserve the rich Nalanda tradition, which we have been getting benefited from our previous generation people. Our activities and members expand to regions across the country, including Ladakh, Jammu, Chandigarh, Delhi, Lahore, Spiti, Paldar, Sikkim, Arunachal, and even up to Kerala, with around more than 400 to 500 participants. As a member of our flying Dharma. In fact, even your presence today reflects the growing interest and the importance of bridging the gap between the philosophical stances and this modern world. All right, so I know you all have been waiting since a long time. So let's begin this event. But before that, I would like to welcome our Flying Dharma members for the dedication song to honor His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. So, my members, please welcome on the stage.
Guys, chalo na, chalo. Normally, dulang machizi zina dulang haka chosa.
So when I will start the meeting, I just wanted to bring up and introduce our to please write the lack of cadence of this Vietnam Kunta. Kasudani, please join the land lighting ceremony. Kasudani. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Krishna, and so much
Sonam Shindu Tuesday, Yarwatin Tin Yatsu, Seti Padam Tinju, Jiten Gola Dumpi, Jime Yatin Yomti. Danzig du dini, ungezogen du so, unkanite ote, tushinam kashali, shideni maseko. Samling bulan katsu, yalvatin sin yatsu, sang sun zetin teju, zetin din pasaki, keti katin sheti. Namyang Chapanete, Jinsu Chube Ishinurgu Natsuyama Intingyatu Shidedepe Ishinurgu Natsuyama Intingyatu Shidedepe Shidedepe Shidedepe. Kiri Shivishki Taya Chuslugni Natso Lama Zampelo Mana Tunnel Zampesta Shimana Ishinul Bilo Mana Tunnel Zampesta Shimana Chandra 6 feet to Pamai Tinjam Savila Maki Samishi de Punchin Pungai Lama Sensin Gatsoki Zamling she de Punchin Pungai Lama Sensin Gatsoki Ishinul Bishala Tuski Puluan Chensa Tallal Ganjun me Mani Sunam Sanspeda Smooth me Oh Ishinul Bilo Mana Tunnel Sampesta Shimana Chandra 6 feet to Pangai Tinjam Savila Maki Zamishi Viti Punchin Pungai Lama Stansin Yatsoki Zamishi Viti Punchin Pungai Lama Stansin Yatsoki Zamishi Viti Punchin Pungai Lama Stansin Yatsoki.
Thank you so much, our members. We offering the well-being of his knowledge of the Dalai Lama to benefit continually to enemy the God of love and compassion he has been reached in you. And also for the well-being of all who reach and make the compassion So now, let's move to our next part of our program. It is our honor and privilege today
To introduce our distinguished Tenpa Tsiringla, former Secretary of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Tenpa Tsiringla has had a long and distinguished career in the Central Tibetan administration, serving in various capacities for over 4 decades. He served as the Secretary in the Department of Information and International Relations as Kalon of the Department of Home, and later as Kalon of Information and International Relations. He has also served as the representative of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama in Delhi and traveled extensively in his service to His Holiness and the Tibetan cause. Beyond his official responsibilities, he has always been actively associated with our Flying Dharma members since our senior members. And he is one of the key person who has helped us initiate the journey of global launch of Sea Learning Program. And he has been truly an inspiring person and a guiding light to all of us. And he has introduced us to this program. And now that's how Sea Learning has begun. And more than 3,000 teachers in Ladakh have been trained so far. So I request Tenpa Tsiringla to please enlighten us about the contributions of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the 90th years of compassion and love His Holiness has been spreading since years. Thank you, Tenpa Tsiringla.
Good evening and Tashterek. Sorry, I'm getting a sore throat, So what I've done is I've written down what I wanted to convey, very brief, and so that it wouldn't take much time and it'll be rather concise. I'm here because friends of the Flowering Dharma group insist that I participate. I also seem to have some connection with the beginning of this group. When I was posted in Delhi as the representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I think it was around 2016-17, we made an attempt to bring together Tibetan Himalayan students and youth in Delhi to meet, exchange ideas, celebrate occasions such as Losar, etc. Unfortunately, that initiative did not progress very far. I'm therefore particularly happy that some of the young Ladakhi students continued the idea and formed this group, which has been organizing teaching sessions and other activities. I would like to congratulate all of you for keeping this initiative going and for creating a space for learning and for discussion. I have agreed to participate. However, I must also make it clear that I'm neither a scholar nor a serious practitioner. So I have nothing much concrete to share with you this evening. But we are fortunate to have someone like Geshe Lhakdor with us, and I'm sure we will benefit greatly from his talk. So I thought I would try to share a few personal thoughts on something that I have observed over the years. How His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama has made Buddhism accessible and relevant even to people far beyond from Buddhist world. Buddhism was taught by Lord Buddha more than 2,500 years ago, is a logical and profound philosophical and spiritual tradition. Yet, until relatively recently, much of the world knew or understood very little about the deeper philosophy and effects. Today, Buddhism is widely known, respected, appreciated, and studied around the world. This is undoubtedly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who has spearheaded in this remarkable transformation. Through his teachings, writings, and dialogue with scientists, philosophers, educators, and people of different faith, he made Buddhist thought accessible to people far beyond traditional Buddhist world. He has also presented it not simply as a matter of faith and ritual, but as a tradition containing insights that can be examined, appreciated through reason and experience. His Holiness has often described Buddhism in three broad aspects: Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist science of mind, and Buddhist religion. Buddhist philosophy deals with questions that are universal: the nature of reality, the cause of suffering and happiness, the nature of the self, and our relationship with others. Buddhist science of mind, particularly the study of the mind and emotions, represents centuries of careful observations and contemplative practices. It offers interesting insights into how the mind works and qualities such as compassion, concentration, and emotional balance can be cultivated. This is one reason why there has been an increasing interest among scientists and psychologists in engaging discussion with Buddhists. The third aspect is Buddhist religion: faith, devotion, prayer, and the ritual practices followed by Buddhists. His Holiness has made the point that while Buddhist religion is naturally for Buddhists, The philosophical and scientific insights can be explored by anyone. One does not have to become a Buddhist to find its values and insights. I think this distinction has helped many people, including those outside the Buddhist world, to approach Buddhism with greater openness and maybe initially with some curiosity. As we all know, more than 1,000 years, Buddhism has been an integral part of much of Lata's culture and way of life. Its monasteries, art, literature, traditions, and social practices reflect this remarkable heritage. Today, Ladakh seems to be changing rapidly. Modern education, technology, social life, tourism, and economic development have opened many new opportunities. They also bring new pressures, challenges, particularly for the young people. To the recent past few weeks, His Holiness has been granting daily audiences to hundreds of young people from Ladakh. Across societies, there seems to be much more stress, anxiety, loneliness, uncertainty among many of these youth. This also seems to be a universal issue, perhaps linked to the lack of holistic approach to life that integrates development of both mind and the heart. And I do not presume that Ladakh is necessarily different from the rest of the world in this respect. But perhaps Ladakh has something quite valuable in its own heritage that can help meet these challenges. Buddhist traditions relate to a great deal of practical knowledge about the mind, emotion, and human relationship. Concepts such as compassion, interdependence, impermanence, and the training of the mind, excuse me, training the mind are not simply philosophical ideas. They can also be understood as ways of looking at life and dealing with difficulties. Therefore, more discussions and introspections may be helpful. And I think this is where His Holiness's approach is particularly awakening for the younger generation. He does not ask young people simply to accept what they are told. He encourages them to ask questions, investigate, and use reason and experience. That spirit of inquiry is one of the greatest strengths of Narendra tradition as well. For those of you who are already familiar with Buddhism, this may be a way of looking at your own tradition afresh. And for those who are less familiar with it, perhaps there is an opportunity to discover there is much more to Buddhism than rituals and religious observances. And perhaps this may be one of the ways of appreciating extraordinary conviction of His Holiness, to remain curious about what he taught, to examine it for ourselves, and to see whether some of these insights can make a difference in our own lives. Finally, I'm very happy that Flowering Dharma Group is creating a forum for precisely this kind of learning and discussion. I wish the group every success in the years coming ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. for sharing your valuable thoughts, and for giving your presence precious time. Once again, thank you for your precious words. It is a great moment hearing you, sir, about how people far beyond can think under guidance of His Holiness Dalai Lama in terms of science, concentration, emotions balance, philosophy, compassionate heart for everyone, especially the youths. Respected dignitaries, esteemed guests, and dear friends, we now come to the very special and meaningful segment of today's program, the launch of three important publications. For nearly 1.5 years, our team has worked on this project with countless hours of decision, writing, edition, coordination, and above all, dedication. Each of these books represent a valuable contribution towards preserving, translating, and making accessibility the precious teaching of the Buddha and the profound wisdom of the Nalanda tradition. What makes the occasion even more special is that these three publications are dedicated to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama in honor of the 90th year of compassionate kindness and wisdom and tireless service to humanity.
Of course, I agree with you, Stanzile. In fact, it is a proud moment for all of us, not only our Flying Dharma members. It is with great joy and respect that we now present that these three publications. First is the Path of Compassion and Wisdom. Our first publication is the Path of Compassion and Wisdom, which is a collection of discourses delivered by the His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama during the year 2002 and 2003. These precious teachings were originally transcribed into Bhoti language by Geshe and were subsequently translated into several languages also. The English translation was undertaken by the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, Dharamsala. The text was later carefully revised by the members of the foundation, Flowering Dharma members actually, Miss Pema Droma, Miss Nifam Kando, and Miss Singh Dolkar, helping to make these valuable teachings accessible to a wider readership. And second, please, would you like to tell about the second book?
We now move to our second publication, The Mind's Mirror Shakya Lakshat. This valuable work was translated by the late Dr. Lobsang Jampel and published by the Ladakh Ratna Shri Deepika. Previously, the work was available primarily in an older printed edition. With the kind permission of the late Dr. Lobsang Jampal, the text was later retyped and reformed into an accessibly digital version. This effort has helped make the work easier to contemporary reader to access, while also preserving the earlier printed edition and its valuable legacy. We are deeply grateful to everyone who has contributed to preserving and making this important work available for present and future generation.
The third and the last one. The title of this work is Miscellaneous Notes on Instructions on Training the Mind in Bodhicitta, presented in our very own Bodhi language. This work is based on the book written by Puchok Ngawang Chamba Rinpoche concerning the teachings of J. Dukhang Gelek Gyatso, who was born in Zangla. The book was later carefully edited by again Geshe Koncho who plays a very crucial role in all these books, helping to preserve and present these valuable instructions on the cultivation of bodhicitta, Changchuk Sem, for readers today. The teachings on bodhicitta hold a particularly profound place in the Mahayana tradition, as we all know, emphasizing the cultivation of compassion, altruism, and the aspiration to benefit all mother sentient beings. And along with this, we have another special book launch, especially by Dr. Sewang Gyaltsanle. It is Bitter Gossip of Uncle Shama, and this seems also interesting. And now I would like to invite Dr. Tsewang Gyaltsan, Ms. Khandole, to please come forward and present these precious books so that we can have a book launch ceremony. Maybe have a big round of applause for this special gathering and for this very special three books. May I now request our founding director, Kata Shile, also to please come forward. May we have a big round of applause because our team has dedicatedly worked. And finally, the launch is taking place under the guidance of Venerable Geshe Lhakdor and Sh.Tenpa Tsering. And thank you so much, Ka Yalzanle Kata Shile, for joining us. This truly feels very inspiring, and I once again congratulate everyone who took part in it and tried their best to make this book launches possible. Once again, a big round of applause to the team members also.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the launch of these three meaningful publications, we celebrate much more than the publication of the books. We celebrate the dedication and efforts of all those who have been worked to preserve, translate, edit, document, and make these precious teachings accessible to future generations. These publications serve as a bridge between the wisdom of the past and the generation of today and tomorrow. And as is mentioned earlier, all three books are dedicated to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama as an expression of deep gratitude and respect for his 98 years of compassion, kindness, wisdom, and tireless service to humanity. May this precious work reach many readers. May they inspire us to cultivate wisdom and compassion. And most importantly, may they encourage us to develop what His Holiness has continually emphasized, a warm and compassionate heart. With that, we conclude this special book launch segment. Thank you and Tashi Dilek.
And now we have come to the heart of this special gathering, the session on challenging emotions and the kindness of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Whenever we seek clarity in confusing times, we naturally turn toward those rare teachers, I'm sure you all will agree with me, who combine wisdom with compassion, not only compassion, but also skillful compassion. And I'm sure the students who have come from the retreat members will also agree with it. Logic with humility, and ancient understanding with modern relevance. Our speaker this evening is very special and one such true guide. Through his lectures around the world, he has inspired thousands of students, scholars, and even scientists and spiritual practitioners. And for many of our students, especially for the Ladakhi youth and the Himalayan region, Geshe has been more than a teacher. He has been that source of guidance, encouragement, and compassion. And above all, Tanzile, I can see the enthusiasm because they have been waiting since a long time for Geshe session. So let me give a brief introduction of Geshe before Geshe begins. It is a privilege to welcome Geshe Gola. He is a distinguished Tibetan scholar, teacher, and a translator, born in Yakra, Tibet in 1956. Can you imagine he is 74 years old and he is still energetic than most of us present here? He has served as the English translator for His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama for nearly 16 years. And he currently serves as the director of LTWA, Library of Tibetan Works and Archives in Dharamsala. He is also an honorary professor at the University of British Columbia, Canada. With his profound knowledge and dedication to preserving Tibetan Buddhist wisdom, Geshe continues to inspire people across generations. It is truly an honor to have him here with us today. So before we welcome Geshe, once again I want to thank Geshe from bottom of our heart on behalf of all the Flying Dharma members and the retreat members. Thank you so much, Geshe, once again. Now, please may you begin with and enlighten the students on the challenging emotions, Geshe. Thank you so much.
First of all, I will set my stopwatch. I was given 30 minutes, so I will not overstay. Start. My respect to Nembala and all the dignitaries sitting in front and all the energetic youths. I had the great privilege of meeting with the Dharma, following Dharma since many years. Recently, I had the privilege of supposed to be leading 8 days intensive retreat attended by a total of more than, I think, 230 or 40, something like that. And I was so inspired. Then I had to give 4.5 hours of supposed to be also discussions. But they had to rise up early, do meditation, then I don't know what else they're doing. They're so busy. But they just kept their energy remaining, you know, curious, fresh, disciplined. I was really, really, really highly moved. And I would like to thank the Flowering Dharma for giving me such an opportunity. Although my knowledge is very, very limited, but I always feel you don't have to have a big knowledge to help people. If you're thirsty, you need to drink water, but not the whole ocean. Sometimes, at least to my dismay, I find people talking about many metaphysical things and not getting grounded, not solving the problems which are there and which are very easy to solve. His Holiness, therefore, is very concerned about solving these man-made problems. There are two kinds of problems. One is natural disaster, perhaps many times beyond our capacity to solve. Earthquake, tsunami, so many things. But then second is man-made problem. Can you imagine? And His Holiness says man-made problems are essentially unnecessary problems. One bullying the other, one exploiting the other, one cheating the other, one killing the other. That is called insanity. And His Holiness is so concerned about these unnecessary problems arising everywhere in the world. And you and I know so well that His Holiness, every day prays, I don't know how many times, in addition to many of his activities, he prays, as long as space remains, as long as sufferings of sentient beings remain, may I remain to dispel their suffering. Even at this very mature age of 91, we have all seen, is seeing almost every day 400, 500 people and blessing them, encouraging them. So therefore, His Holiness really, one wish is that people know how to at least live this short life happily and peacefully and in harmony. I need to emphasize on this point, short life. Life is not very long. Life is not very long. Nobody knows when we are going to go. So don't spend too much time about the past, too much time about the future. Live the present moment. Be happy, be harmonious, be nice, be kind. And whenever I think about this, I am highly struck by the teaching that the Buddha gave. When he was requested to give the teaching, he said, no, 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 I have nothing to teach. And the little bit that I can is very profound. You will not be able to understand it. So leave me in peace. And after repeated requests, when finally he gave the teaching, the first teaching that he gave was on impermanence and suffering, meaning that everything is changing. We need to live in accordance with the changing situations, which Tempala very nicely pointed out. For example, in the case of Ladakh is here, during the last few years, you have been encountering unprecedented changes. And it's not only Ladakh. The changes that has been taken throughout the world, and many thinkers, they have been saying, during the last some years, the material change or external changes are moving so fast, we are simply unable to catch it with an equal development of ethics and morality. That's why we are suffering. That's why we are suffering. And today, everybody says, I'm busy. Is it important that you're busy? At the time of the Buddha, nobody was busy. They had a lot of time to take care of each other, to help each other. Now we are all running. They're all running. Everybody says busy, busy, busy. Right? And it is because of this. Busy means you are really running towards external material obtainments. You are becoming a slave to the sensual objects, to the dictates of the senses. The more you run outside, chasing the external glamorous substances, the more you will ignore your mental resources. Much of the problem that we are facing today is clear indication of starvation of human mind. I do not deny the need of material development. I also need material development. I also need money. But not to the extent of ignoring your identity as a human being, not just human, a human being. Human being is somebody who has the capacity to judge what is right and what is wrong. Human beings have very special features. One very important feature is the language. And this language is not simply for ordinary communication, saying, bring me a cup of tea, bring me dinner, lunch. It's not just for that. This language is to solve problems whenever there is a problem, through negotiation, through dialogue. Only human beings have this capacity to solve problems through negotiation, dialogue. So if there's a problem in the family, in the community, in the society, in the country, in the whole world, the first thing that the human beings should do is, there is a problem, acknowledge this problem, and say we have a problem, let us sit down together and discuss and solve this through negotiation, dialogue. We are not tigers and lions. If there's a problem between tigers and lions, they cannot say, we have a problem, let us sit down and talk and discuss. Because tigers and lions and other animals, they simply do not have that language to solve the problem. So it is understandable if there is a problem among animals, they jump upon each other and try to kill each other. That's understandable. But in the case of human beings, with this very sophisticated, eloquent language, we don't try to solve the problem through discussion, dialogue, and negotiation, but try to kill each other, not only with ordinary weapons, but now today, nuclear warheads. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the extent of the insanity? We have now, as far as I know, over 20,000 nuclear bombs. And how much destruction can we do with just one nuclear warhead? Can you imagine? And then plus countless ballistic missiles. So many, I can't even count. Pathetic. Horrible. And that's why you need Buddhist wisdom. That's why you need emotional regulation. Because the Buddhist teaching says you don't have to kill people, they will die. जो मर जाने वाला है उसको मरने का जरूरत नहीं. हम लोग बेवकूफ इसलिए मर रहा है ना? These days, in many of my talks, I tell people the bitter truth that we have right now over 8 billion human population. All this over 8 billion human population will be dead after 100 years counting from today. I'm not saying they will be killed by nuclear warheads and ballistic missiles. Unfortunately, they are all there to experience the thing. But even otherwise, our lifespan is around 100 years. So after 100, just after 100 years counting from today, we are all dead. Over 8 billion human people. Have you ever thought about this? That's why the first teaching that Buddha gave us on impermanence and suffering. So you don't have to kill. And in our case, those of you who are attending this discourse, in our case, you look very nice. I'll give you some discount. So let us say our average age is 30, which probably be more, 30. So that means even if you live 100 years old, you have only 70 years to live. How are you going to use this remaining part of your life? Creating miseries, sufferings to others, sufferings to oneself. Right? So therefore, His Holiness is really very concerned. And I had the privilege of working with him for 16 years, from 1989 to 2005, 16 years. And I've heard him not only giving speeches and advising people in his religious discourses, but he started writing small books. Compassion Individual, one small book. Global Responsibility, another small book. Human Approach to World Peace, another small book. Nothing to do with Buddhism, just to help everybody on this planet. Then later on, I had the privilege of again working with the other book, Ethics for the New Millennium. That was updated later on. He wrote another book called Beyond Religion. His Holiness is very concerned, and he's always saying, poor people, they are unnecessarily suffering. Unnecessarily suffering. Unnecessarily suffering means if you develop a little bit more insight, the meaning of life, the meaning of interdependency, it is 100% sure we can reduce many of these problems that we are facing. So that's why the core of his, in, in order to benefit people, therefore he commissioned this program of teaching secular ethics in universities, in institutions, wherever possible. And I had the great privilege of chosen as one of the first 3 people to look after this commission of teaching the secular ethics and writing of it the books. So the first book that he wrote was a big book, framework of teaching sea learning, social, emotional, ethical learning. And then we properly established a committee, a center in Emory University in Atlanta. Now we have published many primers, different for different levels of classes. And it's being now taught in so many institutions, universities in India and elsewhere. And that has benefited so many people. So therefore, I'm so glad that this program is taken up in Ladakh in general, and also the Flowering Dharma is working very hard. So the core of that program is basically saying 3 words only: awakening, compassion, engagement. That means we undergo so many sufferings because we don't develop discernment. We are not aware of the reality. If you look at the reality, as I mentioned earlier, the reality is we are all going to die. So why don't you live harmoniously and happily while you are alive? And similarly, if you look at the whole world, if you develop this mass awakening that we must live together, work together, and say no to war, say no to arms, we need to mobilize that. Because if you have this awareness, you'll be able to find out the majority of the people are nice people, good people, compassionate people. I had the privilege of visiting 30 countries. Some of these countries, like America, I must have visited over 20 times. And I was able to see the ordinary people. They are only concerned about the well-being of their family, some education, living harmoniously. They are not interested in war and killing. Unfortunately, it's few narrow-minded leaders creating this problem, developing this insanity. War is insanity. Killing is insanity, right? So therefore, we need a mass awakening. If you don't develop this mass awakening, we are really approaching towards global suicide. Global suicide. The impact of one ballistic missile, the impact of one nuclear bomb is felt all over the world today. We cannot think about living in isolation. We are thrown into the face of each other through the speed of science and technology. Something unfortunate may be happening some other corner of the world. Tomorrow it may be your turn.
if you remain unconcerned. So it is for this purpose of global awakening. The first very important point taught in sea learning or secular ethics is awakening, know the reality, how closely we are interconnected, how closely we are interdependent. It is narrow-mindedness. We make division, yellow, black, white, men, women, this country, that country. I say this is narrow-mindedness because if you look at the reality is we are all born in the same way. We are all born in the same way. After the birth, the first thing that the child does is what? My students, please help me. Crying. Yes, you all know that. Crying. And by crying, what do you think the child is asking? The child is not asking for a long teaching on Buddhism or any religion. The child is asking for unconditional love. That's why His Holiness is talking not about religion, but about secular ethics. In individual case, yes, you might like to follow particular religion, that is okay. But His Holiness is concerned about the whole world. When you think about the whole world, then we have believers, we have non-believers. We also have people who are anti-religion. Your particular religion will not be able to solve their problem, right? So therefore, there must be a universal ethics. Universal ethics. In our own individual case also, it is really no fun talking about religious practice unless you know how to live as a human being. First, you should learn to know live how as a human being, not as a religious person. Right? As a human being. Then after that, maybe some religious practice. Next life, maybe there. God may be there. Buddha may be there. But these are almost like, unfortunately or fortunately, these are distant realities. What is our present reality? You are already born on this planet. You want happiness right now. You want money. Fine, you need money. You need to make material progress. It's part of the program of the sea learning. I was once reading some teachings by Guru Pema Sambhava on secular ethics. Can you imagine? All these teachings on secular ethics, they are in all the ancient Buddhist texts by Nagarjuna Kibosotik. There is a text called Nourishing the Individuals, Secular Ethics. So there, Guru Pema Sambhava said, human beings need human relationships, marriage, increasing the population, living harmonious and happily with brothers, sisters, father, mother. Then plus need for wealth. All this is needed. So there's nothing wrong with that. And what is going wrong is we only run after sensual objects, something to see, something to listen to, right? Entertain only the five senses and forget about the big need of the mental consciousness. So despite of collecting all the material substances and gadgets, you feel something missing because you don't have these inner resources. When one of your family member dies, your wealth will not help you unless you have solution from within yourself, unless you know thing about reality, right? So therefore, all the solutions they are inside: compassion, love, all these things, and all these good qualities are luckily they are all free. But unfortunately, in our case, what is free, we don't pay much attention. What is costly and what is junk food, we pay so much attention. Air is free, water is free, and you will not drink that free water, instead, Coca-Cola. Right? This is our treasury. So therefore, it is really important to come back to come back and learn to live with the nature, learn to live with the nature. That's what Buddha taught. The foundation of Buddhist teaching is true truth, which means law of nature. Now look at law of nature. Does law of nature make discrimination? If there is an earthquake, does it say that I will only move the Ladakis and not shake the tourists? It will not say. It will shake everybody. When the sun shines, it will not say I will shine only on the tourist, not on the Ladakhi people or something like that. So even if there is a sunshine, you will get equally that sunshine if you have not built the building in the wrong direction. Those people who construct the building in the wrong direction, window on the wrong direction, door on the wrong direction, they never get sunlight. So it is our problem, our mistake. So nature does not make discrimination. And who is making discrimination? Not so intelligent human beings. These days, when I am a little bit upset, then I use the word stupid human beings. But at least I'm going to say this time not stupid human beings, but not so intelligent human beings. We call ourselves intelligent human beings, right? Because because we say I have so much information through the mobile phone, TV, and so forth. But believe me, much of the information that you have is junk information. You don't even know how to make distinction between right information and wrong information. And because of wrong information, you don't have the right knowledge. Because you don't have the right knowledge, it is impossible to have wisdom. We are lacking wisdom. So therefore, improving your way of life. In Tibetan we call Sultan. For ethics we call it Sultan. Sultan means proper way of life. Proper way of life is life. That's one life which lives in accordance with the law of nature, which tries to take care of everybody. Right? So therefore, the first and most important thing is awareness. With awareness, we'll be able to live a life which is not antisocial. We live a life which is pro-social. Secondly, with awareness, you will be able to regulate your emotion. If you check carefully how are you living your life, most of the time you are not living your life using reason, do you? Although we say reason is very important, caution is very important, but in our regular life, we don't use reason. We run after our feelings. This is what I want. This is something that I don't want. You run after feelings. So because of that, your emotion is very important. Therefore, it is important to make a distinction between the positive emotion and the negative emotion. Negative emotions are your enemy, basically. Like anger, it's your enemy. Attachment is your enemy. By the way, what is the definition of enemy? Enemy is somebody who harms you, harms your relatives, harms your name and fame, harms your money. Negative emotions does exactly like that. Is there anybody who says that today I was very angry, so I really enjoyed the day? Is there anybody? Or in other words, is there anybody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying, today I will definitely get angry? ये नहीं है ना? We don't prepare to be angry. We don't say I was very happy because I was angry. But unfortunately, in the course of the day, you get angry. Right? When you get angry, you basically become mad. And nobody wants to become a mad person. Right? So therefore, it is highly, highly important that we listen to His Holiness's basic teachings or some of the books on values, ethics, especially books on values is very important because we give value to everybody except the human value. We forget human value. That's the problem. Now, your mobile phone has a value. Your car has a lot of value. But what about you? You don't have much value. That's the problem. So therefore, it's important to really make a decisive conclusion that I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping others, or at least, as His Holiness says, at least not harming others. So that should be our commitment. So in this, you need to understand different types of emotion and regulate them. All your physical and mental problems arises because of different types of negative emotions. And in order to control these emotions, in order to regulate these emotions, ethics is a must. As I said, ethics or morality means a proper way of life, where you maintain mindfulness, where you maintain conscientiousness, where you are heedful. And through these threefold practices of mindfulness, conscientiousness, and heedfulness, you can control your mind and do not let it to the negative direction. Nobody really wants to suffer, but unfortunately, we wake up too late. When big problems have arisen, then only after that, for at least for few days, few months, we are very nice. Again, we forget. During COVID-19, people were quite nice. Then after COVID-19, फिर वही हो गया हा ही हु चलो साले को गोली मारो है ना कुछ नहीं ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए मैंने कई बार देखा when I was traveling when I was flying when you sit in the aeroplane then everybody acts like a gentleman gentlewoman nobody wants to talk to each other I am equally great at the most you'll say aye not more than that you hardly smile. But then, in the midst of the air, when the pilot makes an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the zone of turbulence. Tie your belt. As soon as people in that aeroplane hears that announcement, everybody melts and starts looking at each other. This is reality. Because when you actually face the problem, pretension doesn't work. I always tell people we are really like a bunch of people who are traveling in a turbulent sea in a small boat, which is nearly toppled, you know. So let us say this small boat has like say 30, 40 people from 30 different nations. And when the ride is smooth, then everybody, okay, is forgetful of the important things. But suddenly when the sea becomes turbulent, then they all become very nice to each other. And we are, in fact, living in a turbulent world today. Unfortunately, we have invented all these destructive weapons, and these destructive weapons are given in the mind of insane people. What happened in New York is a reminder, and it's happening everywhere, right? So therefore, much before this problem arises, we need to wake up. We need to wake up and be nice to each other, help each other. And if you do that, then problems like the drug addiction that is happening here will not be there. Drug addictions are happening here, for example, because on the one hand, there is a very quick material development, and this material development, every young boys and girls cannot enjoy because some of them may be very poor, and then they feel empty inside. Then they resort to drug and all other unhealthy habits. So it's very important that we all work together to reduce this menace of drug addiction. And in the role of teaching values and helping people, leaders are very, very important. Ordinary people, they can try, but they don't have the power. Many of us don't have the money, but the leaders have the power. Leaders have the money. So they really should care about poor people, right? It is not healthy when you get a little bit money, then you try to compete each other. उसके उसने मकान बनाया उसमें कितना कमरा है 6 अच्छा मैं 7 बना दूंगा बेवकूफ really बेवकूफ I want to say this, really. क्या फायदा है? And I've seen not only in Ladakh, everywhere. It's 1 or 2%, 3-story building. पगलपन का भी कुछ हद होना चाहिए यार. Insanity, really. By that, you can never show your greatness. Your greatness is if you're able to help poor people. Your greatness is, as His Holiness always says, to be able to help poor people. Sponsor one child. Build one hospital. Those really, really needed facilities must be constructed. There are so many stories all over the world. There are people who are so greedy and want to show their name and fame, then build almost like a palace. Just after the construction of the palace, that person dies. क्या मजा है फिर? Really? Oh, I overstayed 1 minute. Sorry. Sorry. All right, so I said everything I want to say. Of course, as you get older, you have so many things to say. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much for listening so patiently.
Geshela, sometimes I wonder how can you be so energetic and enthusiastic all the time? I mean, for 30 minutes straight, he has like stood up and he has been sharing his insights with so much energy and enthusiasm. I mean, trust me, we went to Pangong yesterday together and came back today around afternoon. And since unlike many of us, like we feel so tired, but Geshela is so active and energetic. Maybe have a big round of applause to Geshela. Thank you so much. And Geshela's insights somehow, get stuck, especially in the Gen Z's hearts. That is one of the reason he is the heart of the Gen Z and the youth. And because maybe of his way of sharing and this gentle humor in between and his straightforwardness, it is very popular among the Gen Zs. And Geshe-la, I also agree that the special ability we have been given for the communication is not only for the ordinary communication, but also to save, solve our, day-to-day life problems also. And I hope along with me, you all will also cultivate these good qualities which are for free, which we never thought before. And thank you so much, Geshe-la. And also we will try to stay away from the junk information and the actual enemy, as you said, about the negative afflictions. And although Geshe-la likes when people bombard with questions, but due to time constraint, Geshe-la, we will be able to take only one question. So can we have a quick question? And the rest of the questions you can send on our mail. We'll forward it to Geshe-la or maybe on our social media. I'm so sorry. So one quick question, please. No questions? Okay, our youngest member, Choyangla, wants to ask a question. And she's actually very inspiring. She's just hardly 8 or 9 years, and you all need to learn a lot from her. She has got that confidence.
I have a question for like like how did we came on this planet and like where did we come from? Where did animals come from? That's my question.
Because you said I'm energetic, so I have to pretend that I'm energetic. So this she attended 4 days of my workshop and asked very interesting questions. So when did your question, when did animals, human beings came into being? There is no point, one point of time where we say they started from there. It is a beginningless. And especially in the case of human beings were also animals in the beginning. Gradually, with a lot of struggle, we become human beings. In the beginning, we used to walk on the four limbs like other animals. Then we wanted to enjoy the fruits and crops. We jumped. Then finally, we are able to stand erect with our hands free. Right? Before that, we were animals, and we were one of the most. We were the weakest among the animals. We were the weakest. The lions kill one animal, they enjoy it. Human beings just standing. Then the rest, whatever is left, jackals and others come, we are not able to enjoy. Then everybody left, then we go and then lick the bone or something like that. That was the state. And this air was controlled by vultures, eagles. Human beings are nowhere there. Sea was controlled by tigers, lions. Human beings were nowhere there. Right? So land, sea, air, everything was controlled by animals. Human beings are nowhere there. But gradually, when human beings learned how to build fire and use a little bit of their intelligence, then they were able to scare animals and gradually control. Now, human beings control the air, the land, the sea. So, in one sense, this is a good story. The another sense is, it's not a very good story. Because today, the greatest destruction on the planet is done by human beings, not animals. So this is important for all of us to reflect. How did this happen? This happened because we have this smart brain, intelligence, and we misused it. Buddha, His Holiness Dalai Lama, and other great teachers, they used it in the right direction. They're able to benefit so many people. Then others, they misuse it, then started making nuclear bombs, ballistic missiles, and many other things. So we are suffering. So therefore, the purpose of education is not to just get information, but to direct the brain and the intelligence in the right direction so that it becomes fruitful and meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keshila, and thank you, Chuangla. She's actually inspiring. So this very special gathering of the very three special book launches and a special talk on challenging emotions, and in the presence of special people like Venerable Geshe Lhakdor and Tenpa Tsering, and special audiences, very beautiful and handsome audience also. It truly feels very wholesome. So, all right, it is the time to request our founding director, Kata Shile, and our director, Geshe Sandule, to kindly come forward on the stage and to present the token of gratitude to our very own esteemed speaker, Venerable Geshe Lhakdor. I now request our youngest member, Choyang La, also to please come forward on the stage and present the token of gratitude to our Lama and our Guru, Venerable Geshe Lhakdor. I kindly request all of you to have a round of applause to Chuangla also. A big round of applause for Geshe-la, Chuangla, Katashile, Geshe Sangdule. Now I request Katashile and Geshe to kindly present the token of appreciation to Tenpa Tsering for sparing his precious time and for making this special gathering much more special. Thank you so much, Tenpa Tsering once again for sparing your precious time and to be among us here today. So may we have a big round of applause. Thank you so much once again, Tenpa Tsering. Now, I request Kata Shile and Geshe Sandule to honor and to present the token of gratitude to Kaj Holdanle, the Deputy Registrar of CIBS, without whose support this event would not have been possible. So, a big round of applause to Kaj Holdanle for his genuine support to the youngsters, to Flaring Dharma. He plays a very crucial role. And also, I want to thank all the members of CIBS, especially the Vice Chancellor. He had some important work, so he could not be present here. But it truly feels very special whenever we have any sort of conference taking place. CIBS always welcomes us like a family, especially Kachol Danla. Thank you so much, Kale. As we are concluding the session on the challenging emotions, I hope you all will carry this immense wisdom which Geshe-la has shared. And for the concluding session, I would like to call Padma Tolkarle for the vote of thanks so that she could help and tell about, how Geshe-la is precious, how Tepa Seringla, Konko Tempa Seringla has spared his precious time. So I welcome Padma Le. Please enlighten us and please give the vote of thanks to all of us.
Good evening, everyone. As we come to the end of this meaningful gathering, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has made this evening possible. Today has reminded us that the greatest challenges we face are often not outside us, but within our own minds. And learning to understand our emotions rather than being controlled by them is truly a lifelong journey. We are deeply honored to have received the wisdom and guidance of Venerable Geshe Lhakdor, who has so beautifully helped us look within, understand our emotions, and approach them with greater awareness, patience, and wisdom. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Kungo Tenpa Tsering, former secretary to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for sharing with us the profound message of the kindness and compassion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His words have reminded us that kindness is not merely something we offer to others, it's a way of living and a way of seeing the world. Kungo Tenpa Tsingla is also one of the key people who helped us initiate the journey of the global launch of Sea Learning program. He inspired, encouraged, and introduced us to the program. This is how Sea Learning journey in Ladakh began. Today, Sea Learning has become one of the most successful educational programs in Ladakh, with more than 2,000 teachers have been trained so far. The Diet and the Department of Education Lay have been making continuous effort to train more teachers and extend the benefit of this program to the younger generation. His Holiness has been a great inspiration and a role model behind this Sea Learning program. We are deeply grateful to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and to Kungo Tenpa Tsering La for guiding and supporting us throughout this journey. There is a beautiful saying, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And perhaps that is why this teaching invites us to pause, to look within, and to transform our relationship with our own minds. On behalf of everyone who has been part of this gathering, I extend my deepest respect and gratitude to both our esteemed speakers, Geshe Lhakdor and Kungo Tenpa Tsering for giving us not only their time, but also their wisdom, compassion, and presence. I would also like to thank CIBS for its support and contribution in making this program possible. Most importantly, thank you to each and every one of you for being here, for listening. May the wisdom we have received today not only remain within these walls, but travel with us into our homes, our relationships, our communities, and our everyday lives. Because ultimately, our teaching becomes meaningful not only when we hear it, but when we live it. May we continue to choose understanding over anger, compassion over judgment, and kindness over indifference. Thank you all. May you have a peaceful and beautiful evening ahead. Jule.
Thank you, Achille. And with that, we come to the closing of this evening. But perhaps the most important part begins after we leave this hall. We can listen to the beautiful teachings, read a meaningful book, or attend a powerful conversation. But its real value lies in what we carry into our own lives. May we live today with a little more awareness of our own minds, a little more patience with ourselves and others, and a little more courage to meet challenging emotions with understanding rather than fear. On behalf of Loving Dharma, thank you for your distinguished guest, our speaker, CIBS, our partners, our team, and most importantly, every one of you for being a part of this evening. Thank you for giving us your time, your attention, and your presence. May this conversation continue within us long after we leave this hall. Teshi Deleks, Sanmo Deleks, Jule.